If you're feeling disconnected, unsure, unmotivated, not knowing who you are, maybe a little lost, but you know you're meant for more, you're not broken. You're in an identity transition. And once you understand this phase, everything is going to change for you. This phase might feel like confusion, you're confused, you're lost, you're emotionally numb, or maybe even overwhelmed, anxious, spiraling, not knowing if things are going to work out. Maybe you have loss of motivation, loss of, lust for life, you're lonely. This is all because your old identity has died and your new one hasn't stabilized yet. So you're kind of like lost in this in between. You're not who you once were, but you're not who you want to be just yet. And this causes a lot of confusion, and it's the messiest transition. But once you overcome this part, I promise you, you are going to live a life that you love. Most women think that there is something wrong with them here in this phase, but it's actually, this phase is proof that you're upgrading, you're transforming, and you're transitioning. This is where actually the magic happens, because you are literally like a possibility of an exponential possibility, because you are formless. You left your old personality, so now you have this like free form energy to become whatever you want, whatever it is you want, whoever you want, the best version of yourself. You can literally embody her. This is exactly what I went through last year this time. I was facing my lowest breaking point. My life sucked. I hated my life. I hated myself. Everything was like crumbling. Everything sucked. I lost friends. I was so lonely. I was doing terrible in my career. My finances were shit. I didn't have a strong relationship with my family. I felt alone more than ever. I felt depressed. I just didn't want to live life anymore because I was just in such a bad situation. Nothing made sense. Everything crumbled. And I was just so lost, so unsure, so unmotivated and uncertain. And I was just going through the motions of it, just like a leaf being blown away by the wind. I had no purpose, no clear sense of direction. And it was the period that really transformed me and led me to who I am today. It was one of the most transformative periods of my life. Looking back at it, it sucked. Being there in the moment, it sucked. But looking back at it, now I realize that period made me who I am today. And I'm actually thankful that I went through it, as bad as it was and as difficult as it was. This is because my old identity had collapsed, okay? So remember, everything in my life sucked, and my old identity sucked because the version that I hated the version that I was back then, and because it led to the external circumstances of my life. I was an extreme people pleaser. I was an extreme external validation person. I needed just people to like me, pick me, I'm the best, it was terrible. And then I realized that I couldn't go back, and I didn't want to go back. The reason that my everything started to fall apart in my life is because my identity fell apart, and I no longer wanted to be that version of me because I wasn't happy with the life that she had built. So my external world started collapsing because I was letting go of that version of me. And that is expected, because when you let go of your identity, your personal reality will also collapse, because your identity makes up your personal reality. Your personality makes up your personal reality. So to change your personal reality, you have to change your personality. And if you change your personality, then expect things in your external life to change. So that's why everything started to fall apart and everything started to crumble. And it was just an awful mess in all aspects. And I was literally like, okay, there is definitely an underlying theme here. There's one common problem and person, which was me. So I needed to like figure things out and embody a new version of me. But I still couldn't because I was still in the identity, in the phase of losing my old personality, my old identity. And I was still in between. I still wasn't where I wanted to go. So I was stuck. I was lost, you could say. And this is the moment where I realized the old version of me was gone, but the new version of me hadn't arrived yet. And nobody talks about how terrifying this space is because you are literally lost. Like, you have no answer. Things are dark. You're not sure. You can't go back to where you were, like circumstances, people, friendships, because you're trying to let go of that, or maybe you have let go. And then, but you still haven't formed your new life, your new relationships, your new circumstances. So you're just like lost. You're like, where am I? What am I doing? What's the purpose? What is my life? And you kind of start asking these deeper questions, which is great because this gives you a sense of clarity. This space is actually, I see it now that I went through it and I understand it. Now I understand that this is actually a golden opportunity for you to create a life that you live, because now is a chance that you can get crystal clear on who you are, who you're trying to become. What do you want out of life, and what really matters to you, to your core? So think of it, instead of being lost, as it's a foundational level to build anything that you want on top. But now is where we have to build a solid foundation. So now we'll go into the 3 phases that an identity transition has. The first phase is your identity, your past identity death. So this is where your old self dies. Okay, we're gonna hold a funeral for her because we don't want her anymore. We don't like her. We don't like the way she thought. We didn't like the way she led life and the circumstances that she brought around. So this is when old habits stop working. You realize something's going on, something, things are not working. You're not happy with where you're at. The results suck. Old desires don't excite you anymore. Things that you enjoyed doing in the past, they just don't bring you joy anymore. Again, this is because you are letting go of that version of you that had fun in those circumstances, and now it doesn't mean anything to you because you are drifting from that version of you, which is great because that means you're not resonating with your past self anymore. And your level of discomfort increases. Things just get harder. Life gets harder. Things all at once maybe start collapsing. What do they say? When it rains, it pours. Because again, this is, you were living life from that identity. So once you drift away and let go of that old identity and kill it off, everything external that was tied to that identity will also fall. Because remember what I said, your personality creates your personal reality. So if you're killing a part of your personality, everything that was associated to that personality will also fall and crumble. So fear not, this is actually great, because also what leaves and exits is making room for new and better things, because you cannot add something to a place that already is full. You need to remove it, so you make space for something new to come. And then now we go, once everything dies from phase 1, we have a funeral for your old self, goodbye, rest in peace. Now comes phase 2, and this is the most difficult, I can say, or this is the part where most people get stuck, because this is the void. This is the in-between phase. You are kind of a little lost, you're not sure. You're not who you were, but you're still not who you want to be. So this is where you have to build the bridge. The unfortunate part is this void is difficult because it creates uncertainty, and you're not clear, you don't have clarity. And so you may be spending a lot of time on your phone, you're scrolling, you're waiting for something external, you're being doubtful, you're trying to feel motivated, but that's never comes from your feelings. So this place, you cannot look for anything external. It has to all come from your internal. This is where you are going to build that bridge brick by brick to where you're trying to go. This is where all the planning happens. This is where all the magic happens, actually, because like I said, this is where you are at level zero, ground zero, and you have an unlimited possibility of potential, an exponential possibility of potential. Now, since you are at zero, you can literally become whoever you want to become and create anything you want and create a life that you love. This is the part where you really have to do a lot of internal work, internal programming, and you have to really get clear with yourself on who you're trying to become. What is it that you want out of life? And what is the ideal woman that you are trying to become? What are her characteristics? What is her identity? What kind of person is she? What are her habits? How does she feel? How does she think? How does she act? And this is the planning phase. So instead of feeling lost, you have to start working and doing the internal work in this phase, because again, it's like you have so much potential. And then lastly, the last phase is your identity installation. This is when you are becoming your new identity. This is fun because this is where you get more intentional. You've kind of built yourself a clear path and a clear road of where you're trying to go and who you're trying to become. And now is the time that you embody. This is the time for embodiment and alignment to become fully the version of you that you are trying to get after. So you have more intentional thoughts, feelings, actions. You're trying to embody the version that you're trying to become. You have a new self-image of the person that you're desiring to become. You have new daily standards, very important. You maybe have built new routines, habits that keep you aligned or move you toward the version of you that you're trying to achieve, whether it be more healthy, more financially secure, more confident, more loving, better relationships, whatever it is, you are building that bridge with daily habits, standards, routines, etc., to keep you moving towards this new identity. And I want to also mention that it is you start acting. It's really important to start acting before confidence arrives. So you just have to start doing the thing, because remember, you don't shift identity by feeling ready. You are never going to feel ready in life, no matter what, in any area of life. It's not you. You're never going to be like magically one day wake up feeling like, oh, I'm ready, No, you feel ready after you act like her, after you do the thing, after you do what you need to do. Once you do it enough times, you feel confident, you feel ready, you feel better, because you are doing it. You are keeping the promise that you are making to yourself. And by you doing it and like putting a check mark, it builds that confidence within yourself and reinforces that new identity, so it makes it more achievable. And you're still gonna always have days where, sometimes you're not as sure or as confident. For me, example, today I woke up this morning a little unmotivated. I slept in a little bit too much. I was kind of like, and I was like, hold on. We are not that version of us anymore. And what I immediately did was I went and did all of my routines, my daily habits in the morning that helped me get back into the identity of who I'm trying to become. And right away, I snapped back into me right now that you're watching. And I just wanted to remind you that life happens. You're a human being. Your mood will fluctuate. External events will happen. But the important thing is to always anchor yourself back to who you're trying to become and stick with your routines, your habits, so that you are moving towards who you're trying to become, and not to let external feelings or internal feelings, external circumstances or internal feelings of life steer your course. No, we are not doing that in 2026. We are sticking to the plan, and the plan will always guide you back to where you're trying to go and get you to your new identity. So I want to now go over with you 3, and if I'm looking down, it's because I have my notes. So now I want to leave you with some really helpful tips that you can take away today and start doing. 3 simple but powerful practical shifts that you can start doing today and implementing to help you with this process. First thing is I want you to stop asking, who am I? Because the way that you speak to yourself, your brain is always listening. And whatever you say and speak about yourself, your brain takes that takes that information and reinforces your identity with it. So that's why also you never should talk down or speak negatively about yourself, because your brain takes that into account and reinforces the way that it thinks about you. So instead, of course, always speak positively about yourself, because your brain and your body is always listening. But back to the point, stop asking, who am I? Because that just creates more confusion, more feeling lost, more uncertainty. And I want you to switch that question to and ask, who am I becoming? This will greatly help, because first of all, it will help guide you and anchor you in your decision-making processes, in your way of thinking. You're gonna be thinking of making decisions and thinking about things in a standpoint of view of the identity of who you're trying to become, which filters things out and makes it easier for you. Like, who am I trying to become? And then you remember the new identity that you have, you're trying to achieve, and you start making choices from that standpoint of view. So who am I trying to become? And then things get easier, choices get easier, life gets easier, because you are keeping the end goal in mind, and you're still keeping that end goal vision up to your mind, so it's easier to kind of navigate towards it and make decisions based off that. Number 2 is I want you to create one daily identity anchoring habit. So just one habit that you have to do every day, non-negotiable, to help anchor the identity of the new persona that you are trying to become. For example, if you're trying to become a healthy, more fit individual, this can mean every day I go out and walk for 10 minutes, or I have one healthy meal every single day. The intensity of this all goes back to you. What I want to remind you is choose something that you can actually do every day and make it achievable, because if you are too intense or too difficult from the beginning, it is much more easier to fall through and not stick with it, because it's so intense or so difficult, if that makes sense. So make it something that you can actually achieve, that is actually like in a mediocre level of difficulty. It's not too hard, but like it's a little bit medium to easy level, so you can actually follow through with it and you can actually do it every single day, because your new identity is built through repetition. It's built through self-trust of you keeping the promises that you make with yourself. For me, for example, my daily non-negotiable anchoring habit was that I planned to film 3 TikToks per day. No matter what I felt, no matter what was going on, no matter where I was, it didn't matter. I just had to film 3 TikToks a day, and this greatly helped me. Now it gave me substantial results. Now I have over 40,000 followers on TikTok, which I'm so grateful for. It helped me get rid of the fear of being seen. It helped me build my confidence. I was very awkward and anxious on camera. It helped me develop discipline and actually build my confidence, because I kept the promise that I made to myself. And it helped me bring more value, and it helped me improve the way that I took videos, learn new styles, what worked with my audience, and such. So I want you to think of who you're trying to become, and then make one daily anchoring habit that you will do every single day to help you get closer to the person that you're trying to become. This will have astounding results, by the way. This one thing. If you take anything out of this, video, I want it to be this. Create one habit that is going to anchor your new identity that you will do every day to get you closer to the person, to the identity of who you're trying to become. And then the third one is going to be to remove environments that keep you stuck or reinforce your old self or your old identity. This can be environments, people, places, events, whatever it is. Because it's not always about, I always say, it's not always about adding more. It is just as important that you subtract things from your life as it is you add positive new things. Because sometimes you could be doing all this great things, moving towards your new self, but there are certain circumstances, situations, people that whenever you hang out with or you go back there or you visit, it's like a heavy anchor weighing you down and bringing you back to your old self. And we need to cut this cord. We need to get rid of that so you can move and keep going towards your old self. So we do not create resistance by keep going back to the old self. Why would you do that to yourself? Whatever it is that I want you to analyze and audit your life. Whatever you do or hang out with or go that makes you go back to your old self, to your old identity, you need to remove that ASAP from your life. You need to cut that cord. You need to let it go, because you will never fully go toward and build your new identity so long as you're drifting back to your old self. You're just going to keep it harder and harder and harder. Like you're moving two steps up and then you keep getting one step back. Like why this one step back? Just let's get rid of that so you can just continue moving forward towards the identity that you're creating. For me personally, I had to let go of a toxic friendship. Even though we shared great memories, we were friends for more than 7 years, I had to let this go because when I was with this friend, she brought out the worst in me, and she also brought me back to my old identity of self, which I no longer wanted to be, no longer wanted to resonate with. So I had to let this friendship go so I can stop going back to my old self and go towards the new identity that I am creating. I'm so happy that I made this decision and I blocked her from my life, because ever since, it stopped creating this dissonance, this disconnect of me feeling great, building my personality, and then when I hang out with her, it's like I'm back to square one, back to square, like 0.0 of being in my old self, which I hated. So I saw that what needed to be done, and I did it. And you need to do the same with your life if you are serious about becoming and embodying your new identity. It is just as important as removing the negative as adding positive. So do with that information what you will, but trust me, even if it's hard at this time, doing the right decision will always be better for you in the long run. I want to remind you that there is a future version of you on the other side of this phase who feels calm, confident, and deeply grounded. She is you. She is your future self. She doesn't rush. She doesn't chase. And she knows who she is to the core. And she loves herself and she loves life. And that is you in just a short amount of time. It's literally yours. The reason that you keep thinking about it and obsessing about it is because you already have it in another timeline. If you need more help with this, if you need more help with this, I have a whole course teaching exactly how to go through this whole process from A to Z and to become the ideal version of you, of who you're trying to become. Because we do identity reprogramming, we create a new identity blueprint, we do subconscious rewiring from your deepest inner belief. And by the way, your subconscious mind runs 95% of your life, by the way. Only 5% is run by your conscious, which is wild. But we go through all of that in my Queen Identity activation upgrade, which is, I'll link it down below in my Stan store. If this is the first time you see me, hi, my name is Yasmin. I am the founder of Queen Power Academy. If you're returning, so good to have you back. But my mission is to help women remember who they are, remember how powerful they are, and to help women along this journey in transforming their identity from being lost to self-led and gain back their confidence, their self-trust, and to upgrade fully into the new identity of themselves and live a life that they love. If this resonated with you, follow for more, subscribe if you vibe, like if you like, and if this resonates, sorry, I'm reading my notes. If this resonated with you, you're exactly who I make content for. If you're in this transition, because this channel is about becoming her and reminding you how powerful you are and who the F you are, and that you can live a life that you love. And yeah, I love you. God loves you. God bless. And I'll see you next time.